Hey guys, so for today I want to take a different approach to what I usually do with my reviews, and I want to go over DJI's new e-bike drivetrain system. And as someone who's just your regular average cycling enthusiast, I've spent way too many hours researching bikes and a bit embarrassed to say, but even more dollars on bikes themselves. I currently own a Project Drop Bar Surly Wednesday. It's a fat bike along with a beautiful Santa Cruz Stigmata back from, I think it's a 2020 model, and I've owned a Cervelo Caledonia before that, which was my first bike. However, I don't have enough money, or I've spent it all on my previous bikes, nor do I have enough space for a third bike. But if I were to get a third bike, it makes a lot of sense to get a mountain bike because I have my gravel and I also have the fat bike, which I love that thing. It's a lot of fun. And with DJI's splash and arguably crash into the e-bike industry, I couldn't help but look into what opportunities, or I guess opportunity, DJI saw when they looked at the market, especially on the heels of bike crashes I've seen in 2024 after the COVID spike and then the retraction. DJI, they're no stranger to competing in crowded markets. They single-handedly established themselves as the de facto drone brand, a favorite among camera gimbals, and they took a huge bite of GoPro's action camera market. I made a quick graph, and if you just want to jump to that, look for the timestamp, which I'll actually probably mention that at the beginning of this video. As soon as I started digging into this, I quickly realized that the e-bike world is just as daunting, if not a little bit more, as it was first getting into road cycling. The sheer number of brands and the seemingly arbitrary differences between them made it even harder to understand why DJI even wanted to enter this market. And so with that said, my approach to this is very elementary, rudimentary, and what I wanted to do was create a small graph that shows mainly the numbers. On paper, it helped me to really begin to understand what makes DJI stand apart from the current market right now. I took what I consider to be the most premium or their newest lines that are currently out, and also you can see there's DJI, Bosch, Shimano, Fuzua, and their lines accordingly. So DJI's is Avinox, Bosch is their performance line CX Race Edition, Shimano is EP801, and Fuzua is the Ride 60. Now it's a bit unfair because the release dates, they stagger a little bit. So with DJI releasing this year, Bosch and Shimano's line releasing last year, Fuzua about 2 years ago. But you can quickly see where DJI is trying to differentiate themselves, and it's with the power output. And their continuous max torque is 105 Newton meters. And for those back in the States, I say back because I'm from the States, but I'm currently not there. That's about 77.5 feet-pounds of torque. And with their boost mode for 30 seconds, it's 120 Newton meters or 88.6. Now Bosch's line is 85, Shimano's is also 85, Fuzua is 60, which is 62.7 and 44.2 feet-pound of torque consecutively. Now the drive unit weight, that's another point that they're trying to differentiate themselves. So more power output for less weight. And DJI's line is 2.52 kilograms or 5.55 pounds. And Bosch and Shimano is 2.76, or they're both about 2.7 kilograms, which is about 6.09 or 5.95 pounds respectively. Oh, I said consecutively before, I meant respectively. With Fuzua taking a completely different approach, I highlighted this orange because Fuzua is kind of doing their own thing, making their products to be as minimal as possible, non-intrusive. And you can tell that as soon as you see some of their bikes that you can't even tell a lot of times that it's an e-bike. I remember when I first started looking at Santa Cruz mountain bikes, I didn't even know that they had motors in them. So it's quite impressive what Fuzua has achieved. And so as you can tell here, they output less power because their units are much smaller, 60 Newton meters, which is about 44.2 feet-pounds, which I've mentioned. And they weigh 1.96. So it's the lightest, but it's about 4.32, or just about a pound under or half a kilogram under the DJI's brand. Peak power is much less at 450, and their total weight, which I'll go over all together, is 5.39 for DJI or 11.88, 6.41 or 6.4 for Bosch and Shimano, which are quite similar, 14.13 or 14.11 pounds. And Fazua is 4.26 kilograms or 9.39 pounds. Now it's interesting because DJI, they're basically about a kilogram heavier when you consider both the battery and the motor, which is what the total weight I've combined. I'm gonna jump into batteries in a little bit. It's about a kilogram or just about 2 pounds heavier, but with almost double the output. So it makes you wonder if Fazua made a unit that was just a little bit heavier, would they be able to double their output? Because you can see here it's almost, let's see, the max continuous boost, you have 120 newton meters with their boost, which is 105 versus a 60. And so it makes the value proposition of Fazua feel a little bit, well, again, it's a different philosophy, but you wonder, would they be able to achieve what DJI did with their numbers? And I'm just going to jump into batteries really quick. Batteries are equally as important when considering motors. A lot of them have their own proprietary batteries that you need to use. So with DJI, they released two batteries, a 600 watt and an 800 watt. That weighs 2.87 and 3.74 kilograms, respectively, which is 6.33 and 8 pounds. And you have Bosch's power tube, which is 625 watt hours, and a power tube that's also 750 watt hours, which is 3.65, 4.28 kilograms, or 8 pounds, or 9.44 pounds, respectively. Shimano's EP8 Steps 630 watt hour battery, which I'm not sure. I couldn't find a different battery for them, but that one weighs about 8.16 pounds, with Fazua's Energy 430 watt hour being 2.3 kilograms or 5 pounds. And as you can see, Bosch and Shimano are kind of going head to head with their weight, their power output, and even their battery sizes. Although I couldn't find a larger Shimano one. I'm sure it's out there. My research was very basic, and again, I'm very new to all this. But it's clear that Bosch and Shimano are kind of the two titans in this industry. Everyone is familiar with these names. And let's see, of course, DJI, not of course, but they're the only ones who are super transparent with their sizing. If you look at their spec sheet, they give you all the information on their website, which is really cool if you think about it. And also they provide a PDF where you can see every single spec, including the size dimensions. But here you can see quickly there, it's the Avinox drive system PDF. And you can find here all the information that I just kind of regurgitated to you. Their rated power, maximum drive torque. They have torque density, which I wasn't able to compare with the others. The IP66, which is actually unique to DJI. The other ones are IP54, from what I believe, all the Bosch and the Shimano. And I'm not sure about Fazua, but Bosch and Shimano are IP54. So with this IP66 rating, they're taking the specs to the next level. And you can find more information on the batteries here, the control display, which I'll have to go into really briefly, but it's phenomenal what they've done. The fact that they're able to put OLED touchscreens with really high PPI, or the pixels per inch, and it's touchscreen. It's phenomenal how they're able to make it feel like a mini computer on the, well, from what I've seen on just on the videos. I'm gonna keep jumping on to potential price points. I tried to break down just a few examples of what the drivetrain on their bikes, respective bikes, might cost. So DJI, according to a Verge website, is about 7,500 to 12,000 USD. That's how much the bikes are going to cost, which is about on par with what these, I think, top-end brands, top-end lines, their respective brands are going to be providing. So for instance, Orbea, the Wild M Limited, the 2024 model. Now Bosch is a little different. This is their Performance Line CX Race Edition, which I think is a ridiculous name, but All their bikes with the race edition seem to be $12,000 around that price point, which is insane. But they have that exclusive race mode, which they call super sporty. Anyways, so Bosch's lines are about 12,000. Shimano's 801s go anywhere between 8 to 9,000. It looks like. I have the Canyon Spectral CFR here, and the Orbea Rise, the M10. That's about 9,000. And Fazua being a slightly older model, but with its unique approach, with its size and output, they're a little bit more on the affordable side. Of course, you can find one that's on a $10,000, $12,000 bike. But for example, the Cervelo Revita, which is around 6,200 USD, Santa Cruz Heckler SL, which starts around 8,700, 8,000 something, and easily can go to insane heights when it comes to pricing as well. I didn't mention before, the charging times. This is what they advertise on their website, 1.5 hours. And then you have Bosch and Shimano's, which they advertise around 6 hours for a full charge, and Fazua's, which is 3.5 hours with a 3 amp. It's interesting to think about because I thought it would have made more sense to go into a scooter as their next step if they were to go into some kind of mobility market, but they decided to go with e-mountain bikes. And maybe it's because of the regulations and requirements with scooters. It's so limited. More than the watts, it's actually the speed limit. I think it's about 20 kilometers an hour, which is about 12 miles per hour. In Switzerland or other parts of the EU, it's just abysmally slow. And so perhaps they thought that they had more freedom to really showcase their performance with e-bikes. I'm not sure, but that's just my 2 cents there. I hope this spreadsheet helped. It definitely helped me figure out what's going on with DJI and what they're able to bring to the market. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.